Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's guest lecture. We're so excited to have all of you here, especially our guests. We are all here for an inspiring session, and it's my great pleasure to introduce to all of you our distinguished speaker. It's Dr. Salikhanov. He has a very impressive background in entire medicine, starting from public health to clinical research, and he graduated from Nazarbayev University as a surgeon and then also become an alumni University uh, by uh, by pursuing his master's in public health. He also worked in National Scientific Cardiac Surgery Center, so has a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge to share with all of you. Right now he's based in Switzerland, where he took his PhD, securing a very good grant. So yes, today Dr. Kalihat will share with us his journey from Kazakhstan to PhD in Europe, his experience, and share some valuable tips for finding research grants and just working with them. So please join me in welcoming him to begin the lecture. And Dr. Salikhanov, I'm giving it over to you.
Hi guys, hello everyone. Thank you very much for the invitation. It's always a pleasure for me to talk to young talents and to share my not only experiences and successes but also failures, because there are some. So yeah, my name is Islam. I'm coming originally from Pavlodar, but between 2009 and 2016 I was doing my medical studies at the Medical University Astana. I completed my medical studies in Astana, 5 years of bachelor in general medicine plus 2 years. It's called internship in general surgery. But then 2016, I decided to move on with science, with research, and I was admitted in the very first cohort to the master's degree program in public health at the Nazarbayev University School of Medicine. And I completed my studies after 2 years in 2018. So this is a bit of my educational background. And finally, I did PhD also in public health at the University of Basel here in Switzerland. Here, so 2020, we will discuss this in detail later. So 2020, I'm starting my PhD in public health here in Basel, the University of Basel. So for 42 months, 3.5 years, I'm doing PhD in public health. And I defended my dissertation last August. Dissertation was in palliative care for terminal cancer patients in Kazakhstan. So we will discuss this also in more details later. This is just a general background. Move on to the next slide. So yeah, in between, so when I completed my master's degree in public health, there was a distance to a PhD. There were 2 years when I worked as a specialist, main specialist in research and education at the National Research Cardiac Surgery Center. Now it's just called UMC Heart Center. So be aware that I was not working as a surgeon, but I was involved in several educational and research projects there. So it's rather administrational, managerial work, I would say. I worked as a manager there. So for 2 years, and during these 2 years, I was thinking about what's next. What is the next step in my career? And that's why I decided to move on to do a PhD. Turn on the next slide. We will discuss these experiences also in more details later. So I've got a few questions from you. We will move on to Q&A session, guys. I have all the questions from you. But now let me describe in more detail how I got this grant to do a PhD here. One of the biggest, the largest funding organizations in Europe and even worldwide, which funds research, is called Horizon 2020. So it creates many funding programs within the European Union to support research in different domains: medicine, agriculture, etc., economics, etc., etc., politics. And so the money for my PhD originally coming from Horizon 2020 program. The next slide. Often, Horizon do not give money directly to universities, institutions, or moreover students. No, Horizon distributes its funding through non-governmental and governmental organizations. In my case, it was Marie Skłodowska-Curie Actions. This is also a foundation within the European Commission, which focuses on funding research projects for young researchers, young talents, mostly postdocs and PhDs. So this funding organization, which is also quite prominent and famous, I would say, Marie Skłodowska-Curie Actions, you see it says developing talents, advancing research. So they got money from Horizon. I'm explaining the money flow, I would say. They got money from the Horizon. Next slide. And finally, these Maria Skłodowska-Curie Actions, which focuses on funding research for young talents, they gave money, they distribute money all over the between the European countries. Switzerland is not in the European Union, therefore there are some issues and problems, but there are collaborations, associations between Switzerland and European Union. That is why Swiss universities and researchers at that time, they were eligible for European funding schemes. And there is an NGO, non-governmental organization, called Swiss School of Public Health. It is not a university, it is just NGO. They do different stuff, research stuff, provide some different courses for master's and PhD students, but it is not a university. It's just Swiss School of Public Health. And they got money from Maria Skłodowska-Curie Foundation to fund 50 PhD students. 40 of them should be from Europe, European Union. Money should be kept within European Union, plus 10 for PhD candidates coming from, as they say, third countries. They call us third country. So that is why there was me, there was a guy from Kyrgyzstan, Ukraine, African countries, South American countries, so 10 of us, plus 40 Europeans. Of course, there is a competition, there is a commission which evaluates your application for funding. So can you turn the next line on, please? Mm-hmm. So finally, if you win, if you get the funding from Swiss School of Public Health, they decide, not Horizon, not Maria Skłodowska-Curie, but SSPH+. They decide whom to give the funding. If you get the grant, they don't send money directly to your pocket. They send it to one of the Swiss governmental universities. You choose by yourself which university you plan to be admitted in, I would say. It depends on where you find your supervisor, because PhD is not a cohort-based study. PhD is one-on-one, face-to-face with your supervisor. That is why before I applied to Swiss School of Public Health to get the money for my PhD, I found a supervisor who agreed to support me. She provided a letter of support, something like that, that if Islam Salikhanov gets money, I'm going to supervise him for 42 months, and I'm going to give him money that you will give me. I mean, in 2 words, shortly and briefly. So yes, I applied with my CV. We will discuss application later. I got the question from you about the application. The main part is a research proposal that we will discuss later, motivation letter, CV, research proposal through, so 3 pieces of documents, that's it. And yeah, letter of support from supervisor. You cannot be like candidate from Kazakhstan, completely independent, and apply for funding. No, you must have an official letter of support from one of the Swiss universities, governmental universities. Don't confuse, there are private universities. Only governmental universities are eligible. So I got this letter of support very shortly. There were 3 calls, 23 students per 1 call. I was rejected during the first, during the second, and finally I got money during the 3rd call. It was 2019. So on this slide, you see the money flow. Horizon 2020, the largest funding organization worldwide, they distribute money all over, I don't know, hundreds or dozens of different funding organizations and universities. In my case, it was Maria Sklodowska-Curie Actions, which focuses on young talents. Then Maria Sklodowska-Curie Foundation, they gave money to different countries. In Switzerland, it was SSPH, Swiss School of Public Health. And finally, recipient of the funding is the University of Basel, who basically pays you the stipend. Because this money is the stipend, monthly stipend, because PhD candidates, PhD students, they earn money. It's like salary, but a bit lower than general salary. So this is representation how it looked like in details. The next slide, please. And of course, during my PhD, PhD, guys, please don't confuse it with like master's degree. Bachelor and master's degree, MD2, is a cohort-based study experience, I would say. Cohort comes, cohort goes. But PhD is one-on-one research job. There were some courses I needed to take, but very few, 25 credit points, just 25. During my master's, I completed 120. During PhD, just 25. So you can't just, rely on courses. You should be an independent researcher during your PhD. And the main essence, the heart, the core of your PhD is your dissertation, your research, because they give money to you not just to study, but to fund your research project. My research project was called palliative care for terminal cancer patients in resource-limited settings of Kazakhstan, implications for cost effectiveness and health policy. I hope I didn't make a mistake, literally. So yeah, this was the whole dissertation. So as you see, guys, my dissertation was not focused on Switzerland. Yes, I completed my PhD here in Basel, 100%. But the focus was on the healthcare system of Kazakhstan. That was one of the requirements. They say, okay, we give money to 10 students outside of Europe, but in this case, you must focus on the health problem, public health issue in your country, not in Switzerland or Europe. That was the main requirement. And I developed this idea about palliative care, which is under-investigated, non-investigated. And yes, this was basically my research proposal, which was funded. And I published, during my PhD, I published 4 papers, all on palliative care. I got support here in Switzerland. In Kazakhstan, there was a data collection process in Kazakhstan. I spent 1 year of my PhD in Kazakhstan collecting the data analysis, writing the dissertation, publication. So this is PhD, not just courses. So yes, and we published several very, very nice papers, which are widely cited. And yes, we made our contribution to the palliative care. I worked together with the Kazakhstan Association of Palliative Care, made very nice connections. Recently, we submitted a paper with American colleagues. So yeah, people like what we've done. So I traveled all throughout the country, through hospices, palliative care departments, collecting data. So I will not be describing deeply and in detail what I've done. You can read about it. The next slide. And so I defended my dissertation last year in August. And 6 months in advance, so 6 months before my defense, I started already to look for a job here in Switzerland. I thought like, okay, I have medical background, I have research background. Now, I rather don't want to work as a clinician, but to stay in research. And I started to search for positions in clinical research, maybe in oncology too, in palliative care. I worked in, as I mentioned, heart center in Astana. So I have some mixed experiences between clinical work and research. And that's how I found I was invited, offered this job as a clinical researcher at the Department of Cardiac Surgery at the University Hospital of Basel. So since last September, it's been 1 year, 13 months. I'm working there. I'm responsible for several clinical projects. One of them is focused on aortic dissection, which is might be asymptomatic but deadly condition, and without showing any symptoms, but causing, how they say, heart attack. They often classify these conditions sudden heart attack. And another research project focuses on patients after coronary artery bypass graft surgery, and we focus on alleviating symptoms. We focus, not symptoms, but complications. Yes, without going deeply into these clinical projects, I'm working together with patients, with clinicians, with surgeons, with nurses. We recruit intensively patients, collect blood samples, aortic samples, work together with lab. So also very, I would say, enriching and interesting experience. And it was mandatory to have an MD to work as a clinical research physician. So yeah, but it's not my, I would say, final destination, because this is another stepping stone. But yeah, I like what I'm doing now, and having an MD, guys, always gives you, I would say, an option in clinical work, in research work. So you see, you can apply your knowledge, your skills as an MD, as a doctor, in different fields within medicine, within healthcare. Okay, the next slide. Here is a short present for you guys. I decided to prepare it for you. So, how to register your MD diploma in Switzerland? Surprisingly, Switzerland has quite simple and straightforward, I would say, process of registration of your MD diploma. Yes, it costs 1,000 euros, but otherwise it's very simple, I would say. You just need to provide copies, original copies of your documents, MD diploma transcripts, a language level, and send it to Bern, to the Ministry of Health of Switzerland, and they will register your diploma within just 12 weeks maximum. The main challenge here is to have B2 level in one of the Swiss languages. Swiss languages are German, French, and Italian. So you must speak one of these languages, minimum at the level B2. You provide motivation letter, passport, that's simple. And you submit, paper-based copies, paper copies, not electronic. And they will register your diploma, and you have direct access to the job market, I would say. You can start your residency here in Switzerland as a doctor. Residency here means that you earn average physician salary, doctor salary, not a stipend. You get a full salary, which is about, we'll discuss salaries later, but it starts from 90,000 a year. So you can make a screenshot, write me on Instagram if you need further details, but the process is simple. For my current position, I needed to register my diploma, and I've done it last summer. So I have an access to direct access to patients. The next slide. So a couple of pieces of advice for you guys, because I prepared it before I had seen your questions. So just a couple of general pieces of advice. If you plan to move on with your studies abroad, Europe or North America, etc. So the main challenge I face here, I faced and I face and I will face is I'm far from home, from my family, friends, relatives, colleagues, etc. So this is the main, it might be psychological, but it is a challenge, believe me, and especially the fact that I came here, it was February, March 2020 when pandemics hit Kazakhstan and Switzerland, which worsened my experiences, migration experiences. Switzerland is a very expensive country. So everything is expensive. Yes, you get a nice salary, but it is easy to spend the money here for very basic things. Yes, I had the challenge, as I mentioned, COVID pandemics, which, believe me, worsened my experiences during the first year that I spent in lockdown. The whole year, or first year of my PhD, I spent in one room. People in Europe and in Switzerland are very conservative. Don't expect them to be friendly with you. It's not United States. So they show you that you are not local. And strict migration laws. So Switzerland is not Germany, it's not France, it's not even United States. Migration laws are one of the strictest in the world, maybe like in Japan. So you follow the rules, otherwise you go home. The migration laws are extremely strict here. So, I mean, Switzerland is a small country. They're afraid of migrants. It's a small country, 10 million people, and they do everything to minimize inflow of people in the country. So again, know the game you play. If you apply for funding, know the grant requirements. Okay, know the migration rules of the country you go, because I know people who got the grant, but they didn't get a visa, a residence permit, because of certain mistakes they did. Know the university requirements. As you see, guys, I've shown you the money flow. Horizon, Maria Skłodowska-Curie, Lewis School of Public Health, and university. And you must meet all the requirements from all these organizations. Don't make silly mistake. I did, but you don't. Ask. It means that sometimes, guys, when I was searching for a funding, when I was searching for a PhD position, when I was searching for a supervisor, the university, etc., I was writing hundreds of emails to people. Sometimes you cannot dig deeply into the websites of the universities or funding organizations and find information by yourself. Sometimes the data, the information that you need, it's in the head of people. It might be managers, I know, supervisors, professors, etc. So if you have questions, write to people, reach out. So I'm annoying. So I write a lot of emails to get info. It doesn't matter if you search for a job, position, funding. I don't know, in any case, email is a blessing. Write a lot of emails. Friendly, shortly, to the point. But right, this is how I found this. You definitely have a question. Islam, how did you find this School of Public Health? I didn't. I have written to one professor and he told me about the opportunity. I was informed about it because I have written a lot of emails to people. Employment. I don't remember what exactly I meant by this word, but yes, employment in Switzerland is also, I mean, we have additional restrictions to the labor market here in Switzerland. They want us to complete their studies and just leave the country. So Switzerland has additional restrictions and challenges for non-Europeans to enter the job market. To put it shortly, they officially prioritize Europeans, Swiss people. The second level, I can call it level, I don't know, is Europeans, and then the third level is us. So each, I would say, a hospital, if you plan to work in a hospital or a company, they must provide an evidence that this position is open for 3 months minimally, and they didn't find a candidate locally, so that they will hire you. So this is Switzerland, and it's very strict. Think strategically, not tactically. So what I mean, strategic thinking is long-term thinking related to your purpose. Sometimes, guys, I mean, I got so many rejections from universities, from funding organizations, from supervisors. Not hundreds, but dozens of supervisors rejected me. They told me, oh, we don't have money, we don't have time, blah, blah, blah. And of course, it makes you sad. But this is tactical thinking. Think strategically related to your purpose. Your final purpose, in my case, it was like, be admitted to a PhD. And I knew that this is just a process. Getting all these rejections, this is part of the process. Okay? You should always, I mean, be strong and be prepared for challenges, because there are many. Okay, the next slide. Oh, my failures. Okay. My favorite slide. So I failed a lot. So first of all, I mean, not just I failed a lot, but there were some challenges during my way. So first of all, I was not admitted directly to a master's degree in public health at Nazarbayev University. I was in a waiting list. So there were several candidates who applied simultaneously to a master's of public health and MD program. Graduates of biological sciences, right? They applied directly to MD and MPH, okay? And they got admitted to MD. That's why they withdrawn their application from Masters of Public Health. And one position was open, and that's how I was admitted. I don't know what would happen to me if I wouldn't have been admitted to Nazarbayev University, but I mean, these 2 years of Masters of Public Health give me strong foundation. And without this foundation, it wouldn't be possible for me to apply and to get PhD position in Europe or in US. I didn't have any knowledge of science and research at that time. And these 2 years were, I would say, life mind-changing for me. I got a strong foundation in statistics, research design, a lot of stuff that I needed for my PhD. So all this knowledge I got not here, but there. Okay, second, got rejected. No. The second fail. Got rejected for the PhD tens of times. That's what I meant, guys. I applied for a PhD, there were a couple of programs in US. I got 2 rejections. Yeah, as I meant, dozens of professors here in Europe and in Switzerland send me rejecting emails that they don't have time, don't have position, don't have projects for me. But I was, as I meant, I was so annoying. I have written again and again and again. And PhD defense was postponed, so I made a mistake in my dissertation. You must print it. And I made several typos, very bad typos in my dissertation, so that my defense was postponed from June to August. I should have been defended in June, but I defended in August for 2 months. And that threatened my position here at the hospital, because I already found a job at that time, and I should have started 1st of July. And luckily, my boss here, he understood the situation, and we postponed my start till 1st of September. So yes, this was completely my fail. So my PhD defense was postponed, everything was postponed, the whole commission was postponed. So I almost gave up at that time. So shit happens, guys. Okay, this might fail shortly without the details. The next slide. I got questions from you and I listed them in the next slide. So if it is okay, we'll move on question by question, slide to slide, and I will be responding to these questions. Is it okay?
Yes.
Okay. So basically, is it possible in Switzerland to work as a physician, doing residency in surgery, to operate, and at the same time to do PhD? This is the question, right? So officially, yes, on the paper, you can work as a doctor and at the same time to do a PhD. But it's on the paper. It doesn't mean it is, in practice, it's possible. So in Switzerland, the system is simple. Full position means 100%. It means that working 1 day per week is 20%. Working 5 days a week is 100%. So ideally, officially, you can work, let's say, 3 days a week as a surgeon, as a physician, which means 60%, plus 2 days a week, 40%, as a PhD, okay, balloons here, as a PhD student. Okay, calculations are ideal. And officially, migration office might allow you to do it. But the challenge here is to find a department, surgical department, where they would hire you for 60%. And at the same time, to find a supervisor who would hire you 40% as a PhD student. Believe me, it's almost impossible because each of them wants you completely. Each of them wants you to do their job completely, especially surgeons, but supervisors too. I know only one case. Nikki, she was doing PhD with me. She is a nurse. She was working, but in nursing science, I would say, in Zurich, 80%. And she has done her PhD 20%. So she came to the office just once a week. So 80 plus 20%. Ideal. She was working and she was completing her PhD to get a promotion in her job. Ideal. But this is a very rare case. And between us, this opportunity was given to her because her supervisor is coming from Greece, like she is. They both coming from Greece, and that's why her supervisor allowed her to do PhD just 20%. Unbelievable. And university commission, which accepts the defense, they didn't allow her to complete her PhD after 3 years. They said, how, 3 years, 20%? It's impossible, 5 years. But eventually, she has proven that she published, that she meets all the requirements to graduate. She completed, she has done 2 publications. And finally, she defended with me. I defended 30th of August. She, the next day, 31st, or I 29th, she 30th of August. Eventually, I mean, she's so lucky. But it's because she's coming from Greece and her supervisor is coming from Greece. I know it. It's just between us. I mean, people coming from the same land, they support each other. Like from Portugal, from Greece especially. So again, to put it shortly, Officially, it is possible. Practically, unbelievably. I don't know. Honestly, guys. The next. Which program did you apply to, and what was your application like to pursue PhD in Switzerland and receive a grant? So in general, I already described the process. Regarding the application, again, CV. CV should be strong, but don't overestimate your CV. Don't overestimate the commission. They understand that you are a young researcher. Then don't expect you to have a Nobel Prize, but at least some basic research experience, master's degree, MD, you already must have. CV, then motivation, cover letter, the same thing, why you want to do PhD and why you want to investigate this research question, this field, this topic. And third, the essence, the core, the heart of your application is the research. Oh my God, I forgot how it is called. Research proposal. Research proposal. Research proposal is a 10-page short description of what you are planning to investigate. Introduction, objectives, actuality, methods, implications, planned results, and implications. They assess this part. How realistic, how actual your project is. With my topic, palliative care, I hit the point because this is the very painful point of developed rich countries. Palliative, long-term care, because people in need of palliative care, they need it not for days, they need it for months and even years. And this topic is very actual worldwide in developing and even richer countries. Currently, they're looking for funding schemes, how to fund palliative care, long-term care for older people, because Europe is old and it is a huge burden for healthcare system. Yeah. Okay, the next question. Is it necessary to speak Swiss languages to work there? So again, Switzerland has 4 languages, official, how they call it, governmental languages. German, 70% of Switzerland. French, 25% of Switzerland. Italian, 5% of Switzerland. There is a 4th language. It's called Roman, something like that. I've never heard of it. Never heard this language. Roman or retro-Roman, something like that. They say that people in the mountains, they speak this language, but nobody speaks it. There is no certification of this language. So focus on German, French, and Italian. My personal advice, German, because 70% of Switzerland is German, speaks German, basically, and they have more opportunities and more I would say, not vacation, how is it called? Positions, I would say, okay? Positions, especially in medicine. So German language will give you much more opportunities than French, because only Geneva, Lausanne, and Neuchâtel, they speak French, and only one region, Ticino, speaks Italian. So Zurich, Basel, Bern, St. Gallen, they speak German, and they have larger hospitals and more opportunities in medicine and in research. Now, regarding the languages, which language you must speak. If you plan to work as a physician is one thing. When you work as a physician, you speak to patients a lot. Which language do you speak to a patient? Of course, official Swiss language, be it German, be it French, be it Italian, not English. Old Swiss lady is not going to speak English with you. If you plan to work in science, in research, to do PhD, postdoc, if you plan to work in a corporation, big pharma, then English, of course. Everybody speaks English there. Corporate culture, completely English. Research projects, publications, grants, everything is in English. Clinical work, Swiss language. So this is different, it depends. Just to register your diploma, MD diploma here, you must have B2 level in one of the Swiss languages. In my case, it was German. And Basel speaks German. The next slide. Why did you change your mind and go into the public health instead of cardiac surgery? So first of all, 2014, 2016, I completed internship in general surgery, not in cardiac surgery. And further, I needed to choose a residency program. I thought about neurosurgery, cardiac surgery, otolaryngology, ophthalmology, etc. ETN, that's called ETN, I think, right? But I felt like maybe to try something else, because surgery in general, each surgery, I felt like it's not my cup of tea, as they say. I felt like I needed rather to choose internal medicine internship and to go there rather than surgery. And I thought like, okay, what I need to do. And at that time, I've read somewhere that Nazarbayev University launches the new program, Masters of Public Health. At that time, I have zero clue what is it. And when I went to this recruitment event, I've met Byron there. You know Byron Crape, right?
Yeah.
The guy with the hat, as they say. So so he became like a godfather to me. And I went to the program through the waiting list. And that's when I was introduced into the research. Research was introduced to me. And I decided to develop my career rather in research. So this is basically it. As I mentioned, I registered my surgical diploma, MD diploma here in Switzerland. And officially, I'm allowed to go and start residency here in Switzerland. But I don't want to. This is just my head. So this was my, I would say, decision, personal decision. I feel comfortable in clinical research. I'm in between, I would say. I'm at the golden middle between clinical work and research, I would say. So yeah, who knows what happens later, what the future brings. So we will see, but I think I would develop my career in clinical research. We'll see. The next. What kind of advice can you give to medical students who are interested in research opportunities abroad? Okay. Any research, any kind of research, all research starts with one thing, with interest. Interest is called a research question. You must have a research question. You must be interested in something. I was interested in palliative care. This idea came to my mind. You must have a certain interest in certain field of medicine or public health. It doesn't matter. So you must build a research question. What interests you? Where your heart is. So this is and at the same time, yes, you have an interest in your mind, but at the same time, these research questions should be actual. There should be a need in this kind of research, in this topic, worldwide, or in Kazakhstan, or in Europe, I don't know. So your research question should hit your target topic, which is actual. So in my case, it was palliative care, which is an actual topic worldwide now, and it's getting more and more attention year by year because of the population aging, especially in Europe. And this problem becomes more severe and severe worldwide. So first of all, think about your interest. Don't push yourself. Just meditate and think about what interests you, because you are doing MD now. You have a very strong foundation in science, right? You have knowledge of biology, physiology, pathology, etc. Talk to your peers, to senior colleagues, to professors. I talked to Byron always. I was very annoying. Byron spent hundreds of hours on me. We've developed together this research project. He was my second supervisor here in Switzerland. Maria, she was the first in Basel. Byron was the second at the Nazarbayev University. So I pushed Byron a lot, and without his support, that wouldn't be possible for me to develop the research proposal to be admitted to a PhD. So first of all, think about your interests and talk to senior colleagues. Maybe you will have several ideas. You would brainstorm them together with, I don't know, professors or colleagues. And then you develop this idea. Maybe you try to do the literature review. This is the second or third step. To do literature review, just read PubMed, read publications on the topic. Maybe you will find a research gap that you can justify in your research proposal. Then you write the research proposal, you discuss again with your senior colleague, and you try at the same time, simultaneously, you search for opportunities for a grant. Sometimes you apply for a PhD just as you search for a job. You just look for open positions. You don't need to develop a research proposal. Sometimes professors, they have research projects and they have money for research projects, and within the budget for the project, they have PhD positions, and they announce it, they advertise it, and you are hired already within the developed project to do the statistical analysis, to do the literature review, to do your contribution to not your project, but which is interesting for you. You can do like that. In this case, you don't need a research project because there is already one. In my case, I was focused on my own research and supervisors supported me. So you choose you have an option. The next question. What challenges did you encounter while pursuing your PhD through the Horizon Europe program, and how did you overcome them? So I would say Horizon has nothing to do with my challenges. As I mentioned, there were challenges, definitely. You are far from home. Psychologically, it's difficult. It appeared much more difficult than I imagined. You know, when you are at home, you think, oh, I will go there, I will be so happy, etc. But then you come and you miss your home, you miss your family, your colleagues, your friends, blah, 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 all the stuff, plus pandemic. So that was the biggest challenge. But another challenge is that you should have a realistic expectations of what the PhD brings, what the PhD is. PhD is not a study, it's a research experience. And during your PhD, you must be an independent researcher. You would encounter so many problems during your research with the data collection, data analysis, literature review, writing, millions of steps, and you would encounter millions of issues. And you must solve them independently. Yes, there is a supervisor, but supervisors might be different. I know PhD students who have seen their supervisor twice a year. During my experience, it was not the case. I was supported more or less, but anyways, it is completely independent experience. Don't expect somebody to teach you something. You dig and find knowledge by yourself. You develop your research project, you get the money, you do the research. So this is another challenge. This is it. Of course, there were some challenges. I mean, day-to-day challenges. The country is expensive, but at least you are getting paid enough. On average, PhD students here get 3,000 a month net salary. 3,000 Swiss francs. This is the stipend. If you're lucky, you might get more. You might get up to 5,000-6,000, but not at the university. Big Pharma pays much more to a PhD candidates. There are joint programs between Swiss universities and Big Pharma, and Big Pharma pays, much more. But anyways, universities pay on average 3,500. So this would be enough for you for a PhD student, even in such an expensive country. Yeah, okay, the next question. Could you elaborate on the research focus of your PhD and how it contributes to the field of cardiology? Now there is a bit of a confusion in the question. So my PhD was focused on palliative care for terminal cancer patients. And we have done research in different aspects. We investigated cost effectiveness of palliative care, quality of life of patients and the family caregivers. We've done surveys and interviews, semi-structured interviews with families. I was supported by Kazakhstan Association of Palliative Care. We've done this research in different regions, published many papers that you can read about. So we investigated I would say, challenges in the development of palliative care services currently in Kazakhstan. We have finally, I would say, calculated statistics, the need of palliative care, what we have, what we need, where we should move on, the next steps for the development of palliative care in Kazakhstan. And we provided very good example to neighboring countries, to other developing countries. We made statistics and our palliative care more transparent for international organizations. So now WHO, World Hospice Palliative Care Alliance, and there are some institutions in US who are interested in collaborating with us. So, but it was not in cardiology. I work in heart center. I now work in cardiac surgery, but my focus was on palliative care. So you can read about it. There is one paper which mostly cited. It's called Improving, that we published in Frontiers, Improving Palliative Care Services in Resource-Limited Settings of Kazakhstan. It's already cited dozens of times worldwide. Very nice paper. Yes, I worked together with the Ministry of Health, Departments of Healthcare. Oh, believe me, I was so annoying. I have written hundreds of emails to get the data. So you need to hustle, guys. Don't sit in your nice dorms. I miss NU dorms, believe me. I miss NU dorms so much. They are much better than Swiss apartments. Believe me, they're like palaces compared to what we have here. So yeah, this is it. You might read it there. Not all of them, but mostly they are open access. The next question. And did you notice any differences in the research methods between Kazakhstan and Switzerland? Guys, 2 + 2 is 4 in Kazakhstan and in Switzerland. The same as research methods, they do not change from country to country. Biostatistical analysis, research design, designing surveys, designing interviews. There are rules for it, okay, international. So I have read many books, went to many conferences to study research design, statistical analysis, how to design a survey, how to design interview questions, etc., etc. So there is no difference. There is difference in the quantity. So Switzerland, there is a ranking of countries by quantity of research they do. And Switzerland is one of the first, probably the first country worldwide by the proportion of researchers. So every second physician here, if not each physician, is a researcher. In France and Germany, it's not like that. In Switzerland, they are very, very research focused. Yes, they operate, but at the same time, with one hand, they do something, some analysis, descriptive statistics, some simple publications. It's not Nobel Prize publications. But with your research as a physician, you present yourself. You don't go to a conference and say, oh, I'm a cool cardiac surgeon. I operate 500 patients a year. I do this, I do that. Nobody does it. Nobody do it like that. You go and you show your projects, your research projects. And by explaining, by talking about your research project, you basically are talking about yourself, about whom you operate, what is your focus as a surgeon, what kind of patients you operate, okay, what kind of pathologies, your sample size, etc., etc. We have now an open position of head of the department of cardiac surgery, and we had the competition. There were 24 candidates, but then only 8 shortlisted, and these 8 candidates came to Basel with their presentations. It was an open competition between candidates for the position in our department. And neither of them was talking about their operations. Neither. All of them brought their research projects. And they were bragging about, showing off. Oh, we do this, we do that. Sample size is 500 patients with aortic dissection. We do the implantation of this device, of that device, heart transplantations, etc., etc. So research. You show your research represents yourself. This is it. Yeah. In Kazakhstan, we are moving, we're still moving towards research. Okay, the next. And of course, this is another advantage for your career in the future, your projects, your publications. Can you share the key differences you observe between medical education in Kazakhstan and Switzerland? I didn't do medical education here, but I have noticed one, I would say, substantial difference between our mentality in our medical education and here. I mean, you are Nazarbayev University, you are different. But at the medical universities in Kazakhstan, we are told from the very first days, the very first year, we are told we must go to a hospital, we must go to operation unit, we must see an operation, we must assist, we must hold the retractors, we must do something practically. Here, I would say in Western Europe, in the US, the whole medical education is based on theory rather than practice. They focused mostly on giving a strong theoretical foundation: biology, anatomy, physiology, pathology, microbiology, immunology, etc., etc., etc. A lot of things that we didn't study much. And they go to the operation unit by the age of 30 here. So they can afford that. So this is I would say the largest difference between us. We are very practice focused, I would say. Here they are theory focused, but then they start to operate by the age of 40 only. We have young surgeons who finish their residency by the age of 35, 40. It's too long for Kazakhstan. We want to operate by the age of 25 already. So this is the largest, I would say, difference. And they have much better theory-based knowledge, I would say, of medicine than us. It's definitely. In practice, I often make fun of them because they can't do anything. Oh my God, they can't do anything. They can't draw blood. No, we've done during the second, third year of our medical education, we've done more than these residents. But I mean, yeah, this is the difference. Yeah, they have higher quality of outcomes probably than us. But in general, I would say that our heart center in Kazakhstan is much better than I see here. We have much more patients. We treat much more, I would say, diagnosis conditions. We do much more operations, transplantation, pediatric operations, device implantations. I mean, in heart center, cardiac surgery center on Turan, in Astana, than here. Here is just bypass surgery, a bit of valve operations, and aortic dissections. Yeah, not much, but it's just a department. Okay, the next question, if there are some. Can you share some insights from your experiences in managing international collaborations and the National Research Cardiac Surgery Center? It's called Research Cardiac, but now it's called Heart Center. Now it is called Heart Center. Just UMC Heart Center, now it's within UMC. So yeah, it was very nice experience. I liked it. So I was responsible for several international projects, and I will describe one of them. One of them is called Organization of Master Classes. Master class is when you invite a surgeon from abroad to Kazakhstan to perform some complicated cardiac surgeries which are not performed in Kazakhstan. So, as I mentioned, in the heart center, they do everything, but there are some complex forms of congenital heart diseases which are not operated in Kazakhstan, very complex forms. So that's why I should have invited several our colleagues, pediatric surgeons from US, Israel, Germany, Turkey, to our center. We prepared a waiting list of up to 30 children with very, very complex form of congenital heart defects, diseases. And he, within 2 weeks, operated intensively. At the same time, this is I would say, clinical aspect. There is also educational aspect. When we invite a surgeon from outside, at the same time, we send invitations to all cardiac surgery departments in Kazakhstan, inviting them to the masterclass. So they come, they see the operation, they assist during all these operations. Therefore, it is improving of their qualifications so that in the future, they will do these operations by themselves. So we kill 2 rabbits. We treat children and we provide educational experience. Of course, there are also mentorship programs that are organized for nurses. I invited nurses from Europe, from North America. There are some collaborations with Medtronic, Abbott. Regarding purchasing of different implantable medical devices for heart arrhythmia, etc. We went to Germany to build a collaboration with Hannover Medical School. So that was very interesting and diverse experiences. And of course, there are also research projects. Our heart center in Astana is widely known worldwide for several clinical research. Karmat total artificial heart, 2 cases were implanted in heart center. There are artificial heart pumps, I forgot how it is called, left ventricular assist devices, which are implanted in our center. So we do a lot of nice stuff which is not done even in Switzerland, believe me. So yeah, I understood the whole level of our heart center when I came here, that they don't do what our guys do there. And there are surgeons here who are interested to come to Astana for a couple of weeks to exchange experiences. Okay, and do we have another question?
No, that's the last one.
Okay, guys, I talked a lot. I talked a lot. I hope it was informative. If you have further questions, please go ahead. And thank you very much for your attention, for your time.
Thank you very much. That was very informative. I think everyone... Oh yeah, here we see the chat. I'm gonna tap the...
It was the most useful and informative lectures about applying abroad I've ever had. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure. Yes, I try to do it as informative as possible, and the least, to make it not philosophical, but more practical, I would say.
It was actually very beneficial for us, especially as new students, because we are more worried about the fact that we're not as practical as the students from, for example, Astana Medical University.
Yeah.
and a lot of students struggle about their decision to pursue MD, for example, then to go into surgery, and they have a lot of confusions on that topic. So now we can see that it actually is we are doing.
Having an MD gives you a lot of advantage, even in research. There are many positions in clinical research which list in the requirements having an MD. And having an MD gives you a permission to apply to a PhD position directly without having a master's degree. So you better inquire, you write an email to the admissions committee, as I mentioned, write lots of email. When you have a question, better write an email. Yes, and there are many opportunities in research for you. I know there are graduates, Kaysar, he completed MD. Now he came back from Japan where he completed PhD. I don't know how he survived doing PhD in Japan, but now he's doing residency, I think, in internal medicine in UMC.
But he's back here, right?
Yeah. He's doing residency now. He has completed PhD in Japan. I think Kaysar.
Kaysar? I think we should look for him too, because it's we're looking for a lot of speakers to share their experiences, because a lot of students they struggle, like they don't know what to do, where to.
It's normal, guys. It's normal. I had same feelings, believe me. I have same feelings sometimes now.
Thank you very much. Any more questions, guys, or anything you want? All right.
That means I responded to all the questions.
Yeah, I think that the questions actually cover information.
Thank you for your presentation. It was very useful. And thank you for dedicating your time. I have one more question.
Yeah.
How important is it to actually have publications in journals at the time of applying to PhD? And on average, how many publications do you actually need to have a strong CV?
Good question. So I would say that when you apply for a PhD, there is almost never a requirement to have a publication. It's always listed as a plus, as an additional advantage for you, definitely. But it's almost never a requirement, because you do PhD to learn how to publish a paper, basically. So though they don't expect you already to have a publication. I had one, but believe me, they didn't even consider it. And they gave me funding, and I was admitted not because of this publication. So I would say 99% of candidates, they don't have publications, but having one definitely increases your chances.
In addition to this, I at that point have 2 publications. However, the kind of journals, like maybe heard about that recently, there was kind of a scandal in Nazarbayev University about about a professor who criticized professors for publishing in journals like MDPI and Frontiers. I wasn't worried about it so far, but my publications are one in MDPI and one in Scientific Reports. And now, after researching about the quality of these journals, I was worried whether that would, harm my CV or in any kind if I show them in my CV.
I don't know. People here publish. Frontiers is a Q1 journal. There is it's called Bill's list of predatory journals, and the professor with the last name Bill, he criticized Frontiers for non-transparent peer review process, and there was the whole scandal about it. But Frontiers is a Q1 journal, and to publish there, and MDPI too. I mean, there is a whole competition. There are competitive-based journals. They have very strict peer review rules, and publishing in Frontiers, it wouldn't harm your CV. It would definitely strengthen your CV, because it's Q1. It's very respectable journals. I don't know. There's always politics in research. There are always I would say, political competitions and wars in research. We publish in Frontiers, MDPI based in Switzerland. I don't know. There is definitely a risk of predatory journals that you should avoid. You must avoid, definitely not to harm your CV. But MDPI in Frontiers especially is not part of it. I've heard of it before, but everybody here publishes there and feel completely okay.
So mainly, so far as the impact factor and quality of the journal category, like Q1, Q2, so far as they are fine, it is okay to publish in these journals for
Yeah.
PhD application, right?
Yes, definitely. People are so obsessed with these Q quartiles of the journals. I mean, you're a young researcher. Nobody expects a young researcher to publish in Q1. We're so obsessed with this game. I mean, this is the problem with the academic world. It's completely okay to publish in Q3. Q3 doesn't mean a journal is bad. Q3 is basically, if it is a decent journal, if it is a scientific, science-oriented journal, you can publish it. You can publish your paper there. Of course, it's better to publish in Q1 to get more citations, but people are so obsessed with it. So MDPI, several journals and MDPI, and almost all Frontiers journals are in Q1. So for your PhD application, it's completely okay to publish in even Q2, Q3, easy. I mean, it's, of course, it gives you an advantage to publish in Q1, definitely. But don't be too obsessed with it. I applied for my PhD when I had publication in Q3 journal.
Okay. Thank you very much for answering the question. It was really helpful.
Thank you. Your mic is off.
I guess no more questions, but which is very, very strange. I think it's a sign that everything was perfectly understandable. Now we can see where we can move towards to. It was very, very beneficial. Thank you, Dr. Islam Salikhanov, for such a very insightful, actually insightful lecture with a lot of practical tips and suggestions. It actually inspired me. Some of the students just texted me that they're reconsidering their career, their career options.
I'm not advertising research here, guys. I'm just explaining my experiences. And yes, if you have further questions, join me on Instagram, write me, and I will answer your questions.
Okay, I think that's it for now. It's 1.5 hours. Thank you for giving and spending it with us. Thank you guys for joining us too.
Thank
Hopefully,
you.
Thank you, and we're gonna email you soon.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.